Hey, CJN podcast listeners, Michael Freeman here, executive producer. I wanted to share that the CJN has earned 6 Simon Rock Hour Awards this month, the Jewish Pulitzers, as some folks call them. We took home awards for magazine writing and design, and for feature stories on a Holocaust music project, BDS on Canadian campuses, and 4 women who discovered they were sisters in their golden years, thanks to 23andMe. But we can't create award-winning journalism without your help. If you value independent Jewish journalism, please consider supporting us today at thecjn.ca/donate.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Do we have the half bagels already?
Every Thursday morning during this past school year, I've been one of the volunteers with my synagogue, Beit Rayim in Vaughan, Ontario, who arrive at the Crosby Heights Public School near my home well before the bell rings. Yep. We spend the next 2 hours in the school's staff room, 8 or 10 of us, preparing nutritious lunches for 50 students in this school who are facing food insecurity. And we make a second batch of 50 bags for the nearby high school, Bayview Secondary. And this month, our program reached a sobering milestone: 7,000 lunches made and delivered. It's an achievement the volunteers are proud of, but one that also reflects a troubling reality because the need keeps growing.
So we had a lot of families who did not have lunches. The food insecurity is so big right now in Richmond Hill and actually all areas. And we heard about this program who started at EJ Sands, and I reached out and we were able to bring it here to Crosby Heights. We are very aware that students work better and learn better when their tummies are full.
I'm Ellen Besner, and this is what Jewish Canada sounds like for Monday, June 22nd, 2026. Welcome to North Star, the flagship podcast of the Canadian Jewish News, made possible thanks to the generous support of the Ira Gluskin and Maxine Granovsky-Gluskin Charitable Foundation. 2 years ago, Dr. Irv Siegel heard a statistic about food insecurity in his own backyard that stopped him in his tracks. Since the pandemic, the problem has doubled. 1 in 5 families in York Region can't afford to put food on the table. Siegel felt he had to do something. So after October 7th, he created a volunteer project for members of Beit Rayim. It's a conservative egalitarian synagogue located inside the Northern Jewish Community Center in Vaughan. The shul sources all the fresh produce and the bagels and cream cheese, hummus and dips from donors, including St. Urban Bagel and National Produce. Fundraising covers the rest of the costs. It's about $15,000 a year to run the program. Siegel started small, with 1 school and a handful of volunteers. But since then, the need has become so acute, as food costs have soared, the lunch gap required a bigger effort, and the shul has responded. We're now feeding students in 4 schools, 2 in Richmond Hill and another 2 in Thornhill, EJ Sand and Baythorn. They're up to 30 volunteers who each week put together more than 200 lunches.
Okay, this started in 2023. And I had this concept that synagogues should go beyond their 4 walls and do something in the community. And I came up with this idea, and I started to work with York Region Public Schools, York Region District School Board. And as a long story short, I had to take a course on food health and inspection. It was an 11-hour online course. Finally, we identified 1 school that was interested in taking us on, developed a team, got the team in there. It was highly successful. And then other schools found out about us. They wanted to do this. The original vision I had was actually to get many synagogues doing this, because I thought it was a really good effort for the Jewish community to be doing this. And I approached a number of synagogues. I even approached UJA. And lo and behold, nobody really grabbed onto it.
About 2023, we had a little other things on our mind.
Yeah, you're right. So
this was after October 7th.
Exactly. So Beit Rayim was very interested in doing it, and we took it on, developed a team, grew. There's more demand for us to be doing this.
So I've lived in this community, you lived in this community a long time, and the fact that there's so much need, how did you learn that there was a need for feeding hungry kids during the school day?
Well, at the time that I was starting this, it was in the news from Stats Canada that 1 out of 5 children went to school without lunches. And then I read a little bit more into it, that there's an impact on their learning ability, their behavior problems, like behavioral issues and outcomes. And there was a need for this. So 1 out of 5 children go to school without lunches. So when I approached York District School Board, I said, we want to go to schools that have an absolute need for this. And the criteria was about 25% under the poverty line. And that's how they identified some of these schools and their needs. And we worked with that. And so there is an absolute need for this. There's a lot of people living under the poverty line. A lot of immigrants had come in the years prior to this. They're living in subsidized housing, et cetera, in our community. So yes, there is a need.
And you were shocked to hear that.
I was very surprised. I wasn't aware of this, that kids went to school without lunches. That seems, be bizarre, compared to when I grew up with, where food was just not even thought about. It was just this basic to go to school with lunch or have food. Yeah. So as you see in the news now, in June of 2026, there's a huge growing need for food banks and more programs like this. And so Feed the Children School Lunch Program really fits into this. And each lunch is approximately $2 plus with all the food. We do get food donations. We get our bagels free. We get a crate of vegetables and fruit every week from other sources that are donated, and the funds. So we're constantly shopping, and there's a whole distribution program. But essentially, we need about $14,000-15,000 a year to keep this going. So as I said, I'm applying for grants, and hopefully the donations keep on coming through Beit Rayim Synagogue. So if you're interested, go to beitrayimsynagogue.org, click on the donate button, and donate your money to Feed the Children's School Lunch Program.
Where did you come up with the name? Because it's like trademarked by somebody else, right?
Yeah. I wasn't even aware of the trademark, although there was something very familiar in it. But I just liked the ring of it. Feed the Children. It pulls at heartstrings to a certain extent. Feed the Children. It grabs you right away. And the school lunch program was specific for school lunches, so that's how I came up with the name.
But in this climate, where being Jewish in public has sometimes had lots of challenges, what impact or importance do you think this project has in terms of sort of good PR for the community? But you're not just doing it for the PR, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that, having a Jewish organization come into a public scenario and giving to others has a very positive impact on the individuals seeing this. And we are getting many letters of appreciation. And today we're at a volunteer appreciation lunch for the efforts we do and all the other people that are doing today. But it's the old, my main thing is do good, feel good. And what has impressed me the most about this program, I mean, everybody's appreciative of it. The students are gaining from it. The teachers love it. The staff love it. But what has really surprised me is the volunteers who love it. They love it. I don't have enough shifts to give all the volunteers.
I know, you took me off last week.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to come anyway. Darn.
So it's been a great run. It's been a lot of work, but we're preparing for next year, and hopefully everything goes well.
On behalf of all the staff, I know not everybody's here. There's that big impact too. We really just did want to say thank you. And to sort of say how much we appreciate it at Crosby. Your impact for the kiddos.
At the end of our shift on June 4th, the principal at Crosby Heights, Brandon Kleiman, hosted a volunteer appreciation reception in the library for us and some of the other school volunteers. The timing was fitting. With classes ending this week, it was the second to last lunch-making session of the school year. The synagogue started feeding kids here at Crosby Heights this year for the first time. The school also houses a food bank and it gives out free clothing for the families, parents included. Governments are paying more attention to student hunger. Ottawa launched Canada's first national school food program in 2024, and Ontario and local organizations are funding breakfast and snack programs. But most schools, like Crosby, still rely on a patchwork of support. Crosby Heights staff say this synagogue's Feed the Children initiative is different because it's the only one where an outside faith group does all the sourcing, the prep, the assembly, and the distribution, all on its own dime. And at Crosby, we never see the kids who eat the lunches, which is by design, according to the principal and the school board's local intervention support worker, Denise
Food
Clark.
insecurity is so big right now in Richmond Hill and actually all areas. And we heard about this program who started at EJ Sands, and I reached out and we were able to bring it here to Crosby Heights. We are very aware that students work better and learn better when their tummies are full. So we are so thankful to be able to bring this program to Crosby.
Can you tell us a bit about numbers in terms of, let's say, would it be a quarter of the kids, 1 in 5? Do you have any idea?
We have about over 60% of our students are English language learners, so at various stages of the English language development. A lot of newcomer families, right, to the country, right. The economy, we all know, is tough right now, and that impacts families here right in our school as well. I would say we support probably about a quarter of our students in terms of some way, in terms of supported lunches. We have other supported areas at school that we work with families. We also want to make sure, though, when we're giving out this fantastic program that we're going to talk about, we don't want to single families out. And so we want to make sure students in need are receiving the lunches, but we also want to make sure other students are receiving the benefits of that too. So we're not singling out specific families. It's open for people that want delicious lunches, and it's really, big impact.
And I don't mean to be political, but still, there's a Jewish star on it. Does the people know that it's done by Jewish people, and does that make any difference to them at all?
I mean, we have lots of Jewish staff members, more than one or two, and students as well, right? That would identify as being Jewish. I think people are aware; they can see the label and the pieces, and I think ultimately it's not necessarily about the religion or about being Jewish. It's about the giving back to the community. And so I think that that's really what stands out, is that this is an organization that's supporting, right, everybody here at Crosby, and I think that that's important. I wouldn't say the bagel program I don't know if we highlighted it specifically. I think people are aware, but I think it's part of the ongoing commitment that we have at school to make sure that all of our students see themselves reflected within the school.
What happens now? This is the end of the year. They've done 7,000 sandwiches in a couple of years. That's crazy. That's a lot. But what do you need for going forward?
Really, we love for that program to continue.
But is there a bigger need? And if so, what would that look like?
You mean like in terms of
Yeah, that's what I
numbers?
was. A bad question.
I think that the 50 seems to be a really good number. Obviously, if we had more bags, we would be able
Yeah.
to get them out more. But I know that we are given the 50, and every bag goes towards a student who eats it all, and they fill their bellies.
So you're saying that we could do more, or the community or other people could do more. The need in this school is so great.
The need
For
is
sure.
great, yeah.
And I'd say there's lots of, right, Crosby's not unique. There's lots of schools in a similar situation to us. So, the need will never be too
No.
big.
And did you want to add?
Oh no, I was just say I know before our breakfast program was run by volunteers, but with this program, you provide all the food, you provide the materials, and you provide the volunteers. This is the first time I've ever seen a program like this, so self-sufficient, that you bring everything to help support our school community.
Okay. Lastly, what have the students and their parents said to you? Feedback. I'd love to hear 1 or 2 stories that you know about, or that that they've said.
I know students don't like to miss lunch on Thursday, so sometimes they want to make sure that they're here so that they, have that food. And I think I'm really, just appreciative for it. And I know a few of them sort of say, "Oh, it's Thursday. It's time for our, the program and the bagels."
Yes, absolutely. Our students look forward to Thursdays. They look forward to having everything that's in the Feed the Children package. So we're really so appreciative of everything that you have given Crosby Heights and our community for the last 2 years. So thank you.
And we know that it gets taken home too. I want you to just talk a bit about it. It's not just the students that get fed directly here.
Yes.
Sometimes.
So sometimes, yes, absolutely. We have extra bags and we will send them home because we're aware that there are older siblings at home. And because they're so self-contained, these lunches, they can bring it to school the next day. And that way the students will have the lunches. They can eat it for dinner or whatnot. So nothing goes wasted.
The school's principal is Jewish, and he says there are a handful of other Jewish staff, but his school serves a very diverse neighborhood in Richmond Hill with a large Iranian, South Asian, and Chinese population, many newcomers. For some of the volunteers coming out each week to staff the synagogue's Feed the Children school lunch program has become a way to respond to a difficult moment for Canadian Jews, not with politics, but with action, which is why the founder decided all the lunch bags are labeled with the program's name and a Star of David, and it's also on the aprons we wear when we work inside the school. But the founder feels visibility matters, which is why we explain why the program can't operate if it's a Jewish holiday, or when we volunteer side by side with the class of high school students from Bayview Secondary who come each week to help us pack. Volunteer Paul Rose used to teach at Bayview before he retired.
I don't know that the need was there when I was working. I retired in 2019, but I was really surprised when I heard that Bayview was one of the schools. I guess that, let's face it, the need is more widespread, and we can't just assume that Richmond Hill is an affluent area where everyone has the basic necessities. So when I heard that, Beit Rayim was helping out with both Crosby Heights, which is close to my home, and Bayview Secondary School, I was really motivated to get involved. And, I'm fortunate enough when Stephen approached me to take on a leadership position. It's been really fulfilling, and especially also getting a chance to work with the students from Bayview Secondary who come here and help us on the community class. That's been great to build relationships with them too.
I want to ask, the synagogue is doing it. You're wearing these Feed the Children, aprons. It has a Jewish star on it. In this climate, what's significant about the synagogue doing this program in a community where I'm sure there's very few Jewish students that are in these schools?
Yes.
Well, I think it's a great visible role model for them to see this. And, especially if students don't go to school with Jewish students, what they might pick up about, what it means to be Jewish. This is a very positive take on that. And I think it's necessary for them to see that. And it's great that we wear the aprons and the stickers are on the bags with the Magen David. I think that's really important. It's an important part of what we're doing. It's, obviously the most important thing is getting nourishment to people who don't have access to it. But I think a side benefit is the fact that they can see that, it's a Jewish organization that's doing this, and they're reaching out, and is not just helping with Jewish students, and in fact, probably mostly not Jewish students. So I think that's really important. Which is
Lastly, do you think that the students who get the meals, which you don't know who they are because it's all anonymous, or the people we're working with, did they know we're Jewish? Has it ever come up? Or have you ever had to explain a word or a holiday or anything, an anecdote you can think of?
Well, I definitely think the students from the community class that work with us know that we're Jewish, and they hear us talking, and they see the Magen David on the lunch bags. What happens once the lunch bags leave this room, I don't know. That's the part of the process. How much gets eaten? If they know the source, I'm not sure. But as Maimonides said, it's not so important that when you do a good deed that you're recognized for it. But what's important is that you do it, right? And I think the highest level is when they don't know who it's coming from and you don't know who it's going to, right?
Volunteer Shayna David Macy worked in the financial sector before she retired. Her former employer donates money for each shift she puts in here.
You asked what was one of the reasons that I joined the program.
Okay, I'm talking to Shayna David Macy.
It was because I'd heard about it through the synagogue, And it really spoke to me because my love language is food. Like, I feed my family, I feed my friends. That's the way I work. When I heard about the program, it was like, wow, it's all about, providing food to kids that need it. And this is a way that I could reach a lot more children and high school students. And so I really wanted to give my time that way. So I found the time to come here every week or every other week. And then as a bonus, it's a great group of people, and also working with the student helpers from Bayview. It's terrific. I feel so good when I walk out of here that I know that I've helped feed some kids, because that's what I love.
Sandy Arbuck used to be principal here at Crosby decades ago. Now she comes each week to peel and chop giant carrots and cucumbers for the lunches.
It was always heartbreaking as a principal to see kids hungry and not functioning well throughout the course of the day because they didn't have nutrition to keep them going. So the old days, we used to have a jar of peanut butter and white bread in our drawer, and we can't have that anymore. This provides a really nutritious lunch for kids, and probably better food than they actually have when they go home in a lot of situations. They get fruit, they get protein, they get vegetables, and they get healthy snacks.
So you've been doing this for 1 year or two?
6
months. Okay, so this is your first year.
Yeah.
And what have you learned that surprised you about doing this? And also with neurodiverse kids from the local school?
It's an all-round dynamic program because inclusive in the fact that the secondary students from the neurodiversity program are involved in helping package and coordinate the delivery of the lunches, and also the camaraderie of just being with fellow Jewish people, working to provide support to a community that really needs it.
When I first started coming out to the school, they put me on hummus and ranch dip duty. Every lunch bag gets 2 small plastic tubs. One has hummus, which is the protein, and the other has ranch dip for the veggies. It's actually become my favorite part, and I'm getting faster at it. I often work as a team with volunteer Robin Cohen. She helps run the Thornhill Community Baseball Club.
We were a little late today because the hummus lids ran out. So here we are doing hummus.
Yes. Yeah. We'll always make it work.
Just tell me why you decided to do this and what you get out of it.
Sure. I've always been passionate about helping kids in the community, and this is exactly that. So I'm glad that we're able to help kids in the community who need this. And it was a great way to get more involved with the synagogue and some of our congregants, and socialize while doing something good for kids in this school, in this neighborhood. So really, anyway, it was going to help out kids. A great idea for me. I think living in the greater Thornhill area, you don't think that there are people in the area that need this kind of systems. A lot of people are very shocked to learn. So the truth is, there are a lot of nice houses with many families living together within them, and the need is greater than most people realize. So I knew that. I was a little surprised to learn exactly which schools and how many needed this. So I learned that lesson. It was enhanced for me, and I think it's important for everybody to know and understand that, and just continue to help, community where we all have to live together and help each other, and that's what life's about. So.
What's your favorite part of this job that you do?
You know what? To be honest, my favorite part is when I come in and I see kids in the hall and some say hi, and actually seeing, it's one thing putting lids on ranch little packets, but it's another thing like when you see the kids and say, you said the kids are great kids, big smiles, and it's wonderful to see them firsthand and know that we're helping some of them.
And that's what Jewish Canada sounded like for this episode of North Star, made possible thanks to the Ira Gluskin and Maxine Granovsky Gluskin Charitable Foundation. The program is now taking a summer break. Founder Irv Siegel received a certificate of appreciation from the chair of the York Region District School Board, And the principals and staff from the other schools also thanked their volunteers with cards and balloons and candy. Siegel says he'll spend the summer trying to find some government grants to keep the program going in the fall. Our show is produced by Zachary Judah Kaufman and Izzy Helenchild, with Michael Freeman as executive producer and Alicia Richler as the CJN's editorial director. You can go to the links in our show notes if you want to learn more about the synagogue's Feed the Children project. And thanks for listening.